So the Friday the 13th franchise is one of the biggest franchises in all of horror. And, I kind of enjoy a lot of it, but it's got a massive fan base out there, and recently I reviewed all of them, so in today's video I've put all those videos together, and I'm going to rank them all at the end, so I hope you all enjoy. Let's get into it. Friday the 13th. It's a seminal horror film that has become synonymous with the slasher genre. It's forever etched its place in cinematic history. Now, it's directed by Sean S. Cunningham, and this iconic film introduces you to the infamous Camp Crystal Lake and the relentless killer known as Jason Voorhees. However, this movie doesn't even have Jason as the killer. So let's get into it. The film follows the story of a group of young counselors who arrive at Camp Crystal Lake to reopen it years after being closed due to a series of tragic deaths. Tragic, unrelated deaths. They aren't like Kenny deaths where they just happen because he's Kenny. They're just deaths. There's no reason for them. It's not brutal murders. It's just tragic accidents. And yeah, they prepare for the camp's reopening. They build up the cabins again, they open the dock, they kill some guy's pet snake, I'm not joking. They find a snake in one of the cabins, and they kill it. It's an actual snake. This was someone's pet. I'm not joking. And yeah, they are then stalked and brutally murdered by one unseen assailant. And as the body count rises, the remaining counsellors must fight for their lives and uncover the truth behind the murderer. Now, Friday the 13th, it's a classic movie. It's a classic slasher film, it's a classic horror film, it's a classic movie. I've collected a few pieces of Friday memorabilia over the time. I've got a light back there, I've got a DVD over there, but I'm still busy collecting the Saw DVDs at the moment. And in between I buy random things, like I'm about to pre-order the DVD for Destroy All Neighbours, and when the pre-order for Winnie the Pooh Blood 92 comes out, I'm pre-ordering that as well. But it's just a great movie, this, and I am going to start collecting them all. But the reason I haven't is mainly because I got that at a time when I thought, yeah, I'll just buy movies randomly, but now I want to buy them chronologically, so it's different. But yeah, this movie's just really, really cool. It has all the chills and thrills that fans of the genre crave. It's also just perfect if you're just, wanting a random horror movie to just put on and be like, oh my god, that was cool. However, the movie does have a lot of issues. But I'll get to those later on. The director of the movie is able to perfectly build tension and suspense throughout the film. He uses great cinematography and a haunting score done. I can't remember his name. It was like Manfredini or something. But yeah, they made a great score for the franchise. Even the kill scenes, when that music starts playing, you know what's about to happen, and it ain't good. It ain't good at all. At the heart of the film is the mysterious and menacing presence of this unknown killer, who does not wear a hockey mask and does not have a machete, but instead has a knife and a jumper. Because they are actually not Jason Voorhees, they are Jason's mother. Bet you didn't know that, if you haven't already watched this movie. Yeah, Betsy Palmer plays Pamela Voorhees, and she absolutely hated the script, which, it's pretty fair, because actually getting to some of the downsides of the movie, it's not really a good movie. I know, hate on me all you want, but Friday the 13th isn't a good movie. I think it's a good horror movie, but actually being a movie itself, meh. It's pretty boring at some points, I won't lie to you. There's shots that just go on forever. There's also sex scenes which never stop. They only stop when the characters literally die mid-orgasm. I'm not joking. Yeah, bro's literally just put his shirt back on, he's smoking a joint, and he's just like, oh, this has been such a great time. Yeah. That's how Kevin Bacon dies. It's great. And yeah, this is one of his first roles, and he does have a lot of good acting in the movie for a movie which does not deserve that kind of acting. Like, this is, like, supposed to be a Halloween copy. Like, not just taking on Friday here. I do prefer Halloween, but, like, Friday the 13th was originally made to be a, copy of Halloween. Which is kind of sad considering how I really like this franchise. It's just kind of weird how the first movie in the franchise is just a bit dull at some points. But let's actually talk about the ending. Because that is just one of my all-time favourite horror movie endings ever. Where, like, Kid Jason comes out the lake and it's just like, da 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 da, and pulls her under. It's just so good. It's just amazing. I even got to interview the guy who actually plays Kid Jason, Ari Lehman. So, you know, if you want to go watch that video, click up here. I mean, yeah, it's just a great time to be a horror fan when, like, these kind of movies are coming out. Sadly, we don't get a lot of these kind of movies anymore. Like, Friday the franchise has been dead for the past few years. But we are getting a new TV show at some point, and I'm probably going to do a big theory video for that at some point. So, stay on the lookout for that. But, yeah. That's probably going to be it for this video. What do you guys think of Friday the 13th? Because I really do think it is a timeless classic. It has earned its place in horror history as one of the most influential movies of the decade. And of all time. It does have an iconic villain, but sadly that iconic villain doesn't come in until the last 30 seconds of the movie. And doesn't really become the iconic villain until the third movie in the franchise. But yeah. That's just my thoughts on Friday the 13th. What do you guys think of the movie? Are you going to hate on me because I didn't really enjoy it? I do kind of like it. I just think there's a few bad parts of the movie that just sort of drag on for a bit too long. That could just be because I'm young and I don't see the atmosphericness of it. But I do think that some scenes do just kind of go along a bit, like a slightly bit too long. Especially the bits where she's literally just hammering in nails. Like, was this necessary? No. Friday the 13th Part 2 continues the blood-soaked legacy of the original film, plunging audiences back into the terror of Camp Crystal Lake. And this movie is very, very good. It's not as weird and confusing as the first one. And by that I mean the first one had a lot of shots where it just dragged on for a bit, but this one I actually really did enjoy. So without further ado, let's get in to Friday the 13th Part 2. Set a few years after the original film, Friday the 13th Part 2 follows a new group of counselors who gather around some place near Camp Crystal Lake. And as they settle in for the summer, they soon become the targets of a mysterious and relentless killer wearing a sack. I'm not joking. Jason Voorhees, in his very first appearance, besides from the time when he was a child, wears a sack on his head. That's fun. And yeah, it's just a little weird considering how Jason Voorhees is known for his masks and that. A sack? That's cool. I mean, it is kind of interesting to see the evolution of Jason Voorhees in all these films, going from like a little disformed child to a sack to hockey mask to fighting Freddy Krueger. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch, and I mean, you know, once again, the characters in this movie are pretty much just horny teens, but it's fun to watch. And yeah, this movie's definitely a worthy successor to the original film. It delivers all the thrills and chills that fans of the franchise crave. And the director really builds upon the foundations laid by the first film, and he really just increases the tension and introduces elements of terror that keep you on the edge of your seat. And I mean, the whole setting of Camp Crystal Lake is so interesting to see, considering how it's just a lake, but it's a camp and it's crystal. No, I'm joking. Like, the whole thing about it is like, of course, Jason Voorhees drowned there, and in a few of them, his body is literally at the bottom of the lake. There's even an actual lake where they've hung a thing of Jason Voorhees at the bottom of it just because of these movies. I do think that's really cool, but just to see, like, what big of an influence these movies have. But I think it's even cooler to see how much this movie takes from the first movie and then rises up to 11. Like, every Friday movie past, like, the second one just seems to increase and increase and increase in tension. Then around number 6, it goes back down after that movie. And it keeps inclining and inclining until it slowly goes. And yeah, I mean, this movie is actually pretty cool. Like, I loved a lot of the things in the movie. I like Jason's weird little sack mask. I like the characters in the movie. Hell, I even interviewed one of the cast members for this movie. You can check that out just up here. My interview with Russell Todd, who plays one of the characters in the movie. So please do go check that out. But I mean, at the heart of the film is, of course, the introduction of the infamous killer Jason Voorhees. He's the primary antagonist. He's the big bad. He's the Thanos dude of the Friday the 13th world. Unless you count Freddy Krueger, but you know, we aren't counting him yet. I mean, like, though he may wear a sack as this mask because they hadn't gotten his amazing hockey mask yet, they hadn't thought of like a good cool mask yet. His presence really looms over the councillors, and he casts a shadow of fear and uncertainty over their every move. And the ensemble cast, which includes Amy Steele as our final girl Ginny, they deliver solid performances that bring depth and humanity to their characters, and they make their struggles against Jason all the more compelling. And once again, one of the film's greatest strengths lies in its ability to just deepen the mythology of the franchise while also delivering thrills and scares. Through its exploration of Jason's origins and motivations, which it doesn't really add too many of, which is really good. I despise when a franchise tries to give a reason for their killer. I don't need a reason. I just want to watch him kill a bunch of people. Okay? Okay, David Gordon Green. I don't need a second killer. I don't need a reason. Just want to watch Michael Myers kill some people. But I mean, Jason Voorhees. I didn't mean to make fun of David Gordon Green there. I apologize. But yeah. I mean, it's just really, really cool to see everything that these movies do going on and going forth. Just seeing how good they actually become before they do, sadly, go down a bit. I mean, even Betsy Palmer herself hated the original, which, you know, there is a lot to like about the original. There's a lot to dislike as well, but there's a lot to like about it. I mean, she did eventually come around to it before she did sadly pass away, but I think she may have been a bit wrong. I think she could have been a bit wrong about the original movie. I mean, a lot of people probably think I was a bit wrong about the original film as well. Some people think it's a masterpiece, which you can say that. But you can also say that about this movie, because it actually introduces a killer, which you see on screen. In the original movie, the killer is only on screen for like the last 20 minutes when it's revealed who it is. In this movie, it's actually slashing and dashing and dicing and... what's another thing that rhymes? Biking. Jason could ride a bike. You never know. And yeah, ultimately, this movie is a really worthy sequel that builds upon the success of the original, and it delivers a great suspenseful horror film that really satisfies the fans of the franchise and newcomers alike, because you don't really need to watch the original to know this one, but I'm pretty sure you need to watch this one to know the rest of them, because of course Jason. And yeah, I mean, this definitely has some memorable kills, an iconic villain, and a great atmosphere for horror. And ultimately, this does remain an essential entry in the iconic franchise. It delivers the thrills and chills of every sequel, and it does kind of inspire a load of horror sequels that I see nowadays. From introducing a new killer, from introducing a copycat killer, from introducing just something different, from introducing a new mask, or even like just introducing the main killer of the franchise in the second movie. A lot of franchises do this, other than Friday, and they've probably taken inspiration from Friday. But I don't know, that's just my thoughts on the movie. What do you guys think about Friday the 13th Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. Friday the 13th Part 3. It returns viewers to the infamous Camp Crystal Lake for another round of terror and bloodshed. And also just a bunch of horny teens. In this installment in the iconic slasher franchise, it continues the legacy of Jason Voorhees as he stalks a new group of unsuspecting victims. But this time, he's got a hockey mask. A for the first time. I know it's a bit weird because Jason is known for his mask, but I'll explain it later. Let's get into the video. So, set immediately after the events of the last film, I'm not joking, it literally happened immediately. This movie follows a group of friends who travel to a lakeside cabin near Crystal Lake for a weekend. Unbeknownst to them, the relentless killer Jason Voorhees has survived his previous encounter and is lurking in the shadows, ready to unleash his reign of terror once again. And as the body count rises and carnage mounts, the survivors must fight for their lives and try and figure out why they even came here and why Jason chose them. Not actually, but like I'm sure that's what they were thinking. Like, why us? Why couldn't he just kill like our friends who came here instead of us? Joke's on you, your friends are dead, mate. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so this movie is very gory. Like, the ending of this was so good. And yeah, it's a thrilling entry in the Slash franchise that delivers all suspense and scares that you will expect from a Friday the 13th movie. And the director expertly ramps up the tension and ramps up the body count, and he delivers a really good just onslaught of gore and violence that'll definitely leave you on the edge of vomiting and on the edge of your seat, somewhere in between the two. Like when I'm watching Terrifier, I'm in between the two. I got a bag for vomiting over here, got a bowl of popcorn over here, you know, trying to pick between the two each second. Not actually. And yeah, it's quite a weird movie. From the atmospheric setting of Crystal Lake to the really cool kills, every aspect of the movie is really designed to keep you just glued to the screen, like I am. By the way, I had to review a very bad movie earlier. Well, not review, I had to watch a very bad movie earlier. Review will come out soon, but I'm not saying what yet. And yeah, at the heart of the film is definitely the killer Jason Voorhees. He is iconic. He's Jason. He's actually parodied in every adult animated cartoon, in every piece of like media that came out recently. Like, there's a Jason copy, there's a Scream copy, there's a Michael copy, but it's all really just the same. A mask, a killer. Like, I watched this film called Camp Pleasant Lake the other day. It was actually really good, but I've got a review coming out at some point, but I thought it would be a Friday the 13th knockoff. Surprisingly wasn't. Surprisingly, it was actually pretty cool. But yeah, like, this one is actually really cool. He gets his mask in it, and his machete is back once again from the last one. And he definitely cuts a terrifying figure as he stalks his victims through the dark and foreboding woods of Crystal Lake. Like, this ain't really lake. This is more woods. And wood. And more woods. And a bit more. And a little bit of lake. The ensemble cast, they're pretty good. I mean, Chris Higgins is in this movie, and her actress gives a pretty good performance, and it brings depth and humanity to the character. And it's really cool seeing just the emotional turmoil that these characters go through, where, like, 1 minute, you're all horny, getting it on with your boyfriend. Next minute, you're running for your life from an infamous, crazy, psychopathic murderer, who's also a zombie. That's fun. And yeah, I mean, the film's greatest strength is definitely the use of 3D technology. Though it can get a bit weird if you didn't watch it in 3D. You know, I broke my 3D glasses about a year ago. Those were the ones which I wore for that Sharkboy Navigo review I did about 2 years ago now. Oh, that was so cringy. But, yeah. The things you do, man. Yeah, it was just very weird. And, like, this does feature several memorable 3D sequences that add a layer of excitement to the film. You know, it's got a good chase scene, a good showdown, good few kills. I mean, it's definitely pretty dated for 3D effects, but by like how it was made and the time when it came out, I think this is pretty good for 3D effects. You know, it's not Avatar levels, but you know, not every movie can be naked blue alien people on screen in 3D where you're like watching it and you're like, Jesus Christ. Is this supposed to be in cinemas or should it be somewhere else? And yeah, I mean, this movie is definitely bloody and entertaining. It's great. I love just putting on this movie every now and then and just being like, ah, yeah. Just the ending of this movie is so fun and campy and just silly. And also kind of serious at the same time. It's getting into that later Jason vibe without properly getting into the later Jason vibe. And that's what I like. It's not like, we're gonna shove him in space. It's more like, we're gonna bring in some stuff which we haven't done before, like helicopters and stuff. That cost a lot of money. That's where most of the budget went, into the last, like, 5 minutes of the movie. But yeah, ultimately, as I said, this movie is a bloody and entertaining entry in the iconic slasher franchise. It delivers the chills, the thrills, all in equal measure. I don't have a tape measure to measure the chills and thrills, of course, but I think they're about equal. And with its great killer, iconic kill, and a really good use of 3D technology for the time, I think this film is definitely going to be one of my favourites of the franchise once I've finished reviewing them all. Just because of how fun and just interesting I think it is. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. What do you guys think of Friday the 13th Part 3? I was about to say 2 there for some reason. Let me know in the comments below. If you have seen this movie, if you haven't, go watch it. It's a hell of a time. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, each movie so far definitely just going up and up in quality. I'm kind of scared for what's going to happen at some point in the franchise, because I have seen these movies before, but we're not getting there yet. I can breathe until I have to see weird slug Jason on the screen again. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. It marks the culmination of one of cinema's most iconic franchises. Until the rest of them came out. But yeah, this is only the 4th one, by the way. It doesn't end here, sadly. They get worse. Every single one gets worse. Except the last one. The last one was pretty good. But yeah, I'm recording this video the day after I did my live stream, which was a few days after all the news for Crystal Lake came out. So I'm kind of upset talking about Friday the 13th. But I have to get these videos out. But yeah, so this movie delivers a bloody and intense conclusion to the first 4 movies. And this installment in the series takes you on one final journey into the heart of darkness, where Jason Voorhees reigns supreme as the ultimate slasher villain. So, let's get into it. Set immediately after Friday the 13th Part 3, the final chapter follows a group of vacationers who arrive at Crystal Lake for a weekend getaway. As they settle into a nearby cabin, they quickly become the targets of the relentless killer Jason Voorhees, who has miraculously survived his previous encounters and is more determined than ever to slaughter anyone who crosses his path. I mean, yeah, he's basically full-blown zombie now. It's quite weird. I won't lie. He's basically just a zombie killer now. I mean, it's very weird. And yeah, this movie is a thrilling and visceral entry in the long-running slasher franchise that delivers all the gore and suspense that fans have come to expect. And the director expertly ramps up the tension and ramps up the body count, delivering a relentless onslaught of terror that will leave you on the edge of your seat. And from the atmospheric setting of Crystal Lake to the intensive kills and the intense chase sequences, every aspect of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is designed to keep you glued to the screen and on the edge of your seat. Which, you know, for me is pretty normal because I'm just always watching movies right here. Or in my living room. It depends on if I want to sit on a couch or sit on my chair. But yeah, at the heart of the film is the iconic killer Jason Voorhees, whose presence looms over the franchise like fine wine. I don't know what I was referencing there. I've watched a lot of random movies recently where they've made a joke like that. I don't know, I'm quite stupid. But yeah, he's got his trademark hockey mask once again, and machete, and Jason cuts a terrifying figure as he stalks through the victims, as he's just being weird. Best I can say. And yeah, this movie introduces us to Tommy Jarvis, who is probably my favourite Friday the 13th protagonist. In this movie, he's a kid, but in the rest of them, he is older, and I kind of prefer, I think it's Part 6 Tommy, than the others, because he's just, I kind of picture like him when I think of Tommy. Um, and yeah, he delivers a solid performance that brings depth and humanity to the character. It makes their struggles against Jason all the more harrowing. And the film's greatest strength definitely lies in just how awesome Jason Voorhees is in this movie. Like, he will literally burst through the goddamn cabin at full speed. and and then his mask just comes off, and then you see his deformed and ugly zombie looking face. And yeah, I mean, the weirdest part of the movie is when Tommy shaves his head bald, and pretends to be Jason when he was a kid. But that was mainly just a distraction so he could be killed. But yeah, Jason comes back in the later sequels anyway. What can I say? Money makes the world go round. And yeah, the film's greatest strength, as I was saying, lies in its relentless pace and unflinching commitment to delivering thrills and chills. See what I did there? And this movie definitely wastes no time in getting to the action. It just plunges you straight into a horror film from every aspect of it, the beginning, the middle, the end. It never lets up until the final credits roll. And I do really think that's why I love this franchise, getting more into the movie. Because, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the first one, just because I felt it was a bit boring. But the later sequels of this franchise always get better and better and better. And it's just really interesting to watch. Especially considering how every single movie, Jason looks different. There's a new way to kill him. There's a new way that he's alive again. He's gone to New York for some goddamn reason. Yeah, it's just very weird, and I really find myself enjoying these way more than I used to, just because I mean, I don't even really know. I think that I've more like matured into liking some older movies that I didn't like before, such as the later Friday the 13th movie. I've always enjoyed this one in particular, though. This has always been my favourite one besides Part 6. I just feel those two movies are the best ones. Worst one has to be either New Blood or something like Jason Goes to Hell. But yeah, ultimately though, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is a fitting and satisfying conclusion to the slasher saga. Even though it doesn't conclude, it just kind of concludes the first arc of Zombie Jason. And yeah, it's got a iconic killer, memorable kills, and a relentless intensity, and the film remains a fan favourite among horror aficionados. I mean, for fans of the franchise, this movie is definitely a must-see, and for those who aren't fans of the franchise, I still recommend it. It's fun, it's campy, it's a bit stupid at times. It's just pretty cool. Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, marks departure from the familiar formula of the franchise. It introduces new characters, a fresh setting, and while attempting to breathe new life into the iconic slasher series, it kind of falls flat. This installment takes viewers on a suspenseful journey through the eerie woods of Crystal Lake, where a new killer stalks unsuspecting victims, and familiar faces come back to be taunted once again. So let's get into it. Set several years after the events of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, A New Beginning follows troubled teenager Tommy Jarvis, played by John Shepherd, as he struggles to overcome the trauma of his past encounters with Jason Voorhees. It's placed in a halfway house for troubled youth, and I think that this is probably my least favourite setting for a Friday movie, just because all the characters here are nutters, so it's just a bit weird. And yeah, Tommy really struggles to overcome the trauma of his past encounters with Jason, which is kind of one of the bits which I really enjoy about it, because it does show you, like, the effects that all of that can have on someone who sees that so young. Like, this guy hacked Jason Voorhees to death at the age of, 10. That's gonna leave an effect on you. And yeah, Tommy hopes to find solace and healing among his peers. However, his hopes are quickly shattered when a series of brutal murders rock the tranquil community, and they spark fear and paranoia among the residents. And as the body count rises, Tommy becomes convinced that Jason has returned from the dead to continue his reign of terror. With his newfound friends and allies, though, Tommy has to confront his darkest fears and put an end to the bloodshed once and for all. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. It is a bold and very ambitious entry in the franchise. It takes risks and it definitely shakes up the establishing formula in an unexpected way. The director definitely injects the film with a gritty and visceral style. It kind of captures the raw intensity of the slasher genre while delving into the psychological depths of the characters, mainly Tommy. And while some fans may just kind of get annoyed at the absence of Jason Voorhees as the primary antagonist, the film definitely does succeed in creating a sense of tension and suspense that does keep you just watching all of it. I mean, one of the highlights of the movie is its focus on character development, particularly for the protagonist of Tommy Jarvis. John Shepherd really delivers a great performance as a troubled teen who is really just trying to get away from the inner turmoil of what he had to see when he was so young. And it really raises the question of, like, how could you even, like, let him see any of that? Why did his sister let him do that? Why didn't she try and stop? But, you know, he definitely does deliver a good performance. And the film's exploration of themes such as trauma, redemption, and just the cyclical nature of violence really adds a depth of complexity and just a bit of familiar slasher tropes, and it elevates this movie above its predecessors in a way. However, this film is not without its flaws. Some people may be disappointed by the lack of Jason Voorhees as the central killer, while others may find fault with the film's pacing and narrative structure. Additionally, the twist ending has really divided fans, with some praising its audacity and others just feeling that it's a betrayal of the franchise's legacy. If you don't know what the twist ending is, I will say it now, so spoilers for this movie. Basically, it turns out that the killer is actually this paramedic from the beginning of the movie who died. And now he's seeking revenge for his son dying. But he's using the Jason moniker and all of that, you know, yada yada yada. He's the new Jason, but it doesn't really work that well in my opinion. I do like Roy. I won't lie. He's a cool character as the killer, but was it really necessary? Why not just end the franchise with 4, or do a new franchise, or just bring back Jason? They literally do that in all the other sequels. Since this one was so divisive, they just brought back Jason in the next one. I feel it maybe would have been better if they just brought back Jason in this one and then just kept the pace going. You know, maybe not even have a killer at all, like in Jason or Roy, but have Tommy be the killer. And have it be Tommy struggling with, like, him thinking that Jason Voorhees is the actual killer, where it's him and his trauma that's actually killing all these people, and he's just covering it up by saying that Jason did it. That would actually be a really good movie, and I wish that they did do that. But yeah, this movie is definitely a diverse entry in the franchise. It offers a fresh take on familiar theme, while also just straying from the formula that made its predecessor so successful. And it definitely doesn't please purists or casual viewers alike. It still definitely deserves credit for taking risks and pushing the boundaries of the genre. Whether you love it or you hate it, I don't really care. It's definitely a memorable and thought-provoking addition to the franchise, and I just think it is one of the better Friday the 13th movies that came out, like, during this time, because we didn't really get many good Friday the 13th sequels. A lot of people love the later ones for how campy and dumb they get, such as Jason Takes Manhattan. That was my favourite for about a month until I realised this film sucks. And yeah, this one is actually pretty good. I just kind of don't really like it because it doesn't really have Jason in it, but all of the themes and just all the, like, interesting things that they do with the characters definitely make up for that fact. But no, what do you guys think? Do you guys enjoy this movie? Have you even seen the movie? Let me know in the comments below if you've seen Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. If you haven't seen the movie, I kind of recommend it. You know, it's a fun watch just to see, like, Tommy Jarvis completely losing his mind, but also you really feel sympathy for him, like, when he's just entirely losing it because he thinks that Jason is coming to get him the entire time. Whereas it's just this guy who wants revenge for his son. It wasn't even Tommy's fault, that's the thing. That's the sad part. It wasn't Tommy's fault that his son died, but he's just killing anyone at this point. He just wants revenge. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. It's a weird movie, to say the least. In this one, they bring Jason back to life for some reason. And yeah, it definitely makes a triumphant return to the series. It kind of brings back the iconic slasher villains. And just makes it kind of more dark and brooding than the goofiness of the last one. And also, well, Part 4, that was a bit goofy as well, I won't lie. But, I enjoyed it either way. This definitely offers a fresh take on the beloved horror franchise, and it's really interesting, so let's get into it. Friday the 13th Part 6 picks up where the previous installment left off, with Tommy Jarvis, now played by Tom Maffey, still haunted by his traumatic encounters with Jason Voorhees. He's determined to ensure that Jason remains dead though. So Tommy, and his mate, venture to Jason's grave and destroy his body. However, their plan backfires because they just sort of shove a rod straight into Jason's body in the middle of a lightning storm. I don't know what you guys expected, but yeah, Jason's back to life now and he looks even worse than before. I'm not joking. So yeah, Jason embarks on a new killing spree at the newly reopened Camp Forest Green, formerly Camp Crystal Lake, and Tommy races against time to warn the authorities and stop Jason once and for all. And he gets arrested. Meanwhile, though, a group of camp counselors, including Megan, who is the sheriff's daughter, find themselves caught in the crossfire as they try to protect themselves from the killer. So yeah, this movie definitely breathes new life into the franchise. It's really interesting to see, and I actually really enjoy this one. This is one of my last favourite Friday the 13th movies before they just become really goofy and stupid. Like the one where Jason becomes a slug at the end, and in the middle and the beginning. Yep, talking about Jason Goes to Hell. That movie sucks. But yeah, I just hate that movie so much. I'm just gonna rip on it any chance I get. But this movie is definitely really cool. It's kind of got a more self-aware and humorous tone, and I like it. The director definitely brings a fresh energy to the series, which was definitely needed after the last few. And it definitely just enhances the film's appeal, and the film's opening sequence, which is more reminiscent of classic monster movies, really sets the stage for a more supernatural and action-packed Jason. And it's really, really in there. Jason's just blood, guts, and everything in this movie, and it's awesome. And that's really just one of the standout aspects of the movie. It's just the acknowledgement of the absurdity, which is really all over the slasher genre at this point, but it's definitely inside of this movie. And the film definitely embraces the meta-narrative, with characters making reference to horror tropes, and also acknowledging the improbability of their situation. The self-awareness kind of adds a layer of humour without just undermining the tension and the horror. I personally think that's one of the best aspects of Scream. Had to. Also, Colin, this is a thing to my mate Colin from the Horrific Podcast, if you're watching this. Scream is amazing. So yeah, another great aspect of the Scream franchise, which is why I love the Scream franchise for being amazing, is just how it perfectly balances self-awareness and how it perfectly balances the horror. Because it's just really cool. Shout out to Colin. And yeah, this one's just definitely interesting because, you know, all the actors, they deliver great performances. Tom Matthews delivers a great performance as Tommy Jarvis. He portrays the character's determination and his desperation with trying to just figure out why the hell he was so dumb enough to go to Jason's grave and try and kill him forever when he was already dead. Why not just leave it, mate? Like, the last one was literally just a copycat killer. Like, he's obviously dead now. You stabbed him several times with a, what's it called, machete. Yeah, the film's practical effects and gore, though, are definitely a highlight. It showcases great and really gruesome deaths. That really just is why I love the series. It's just the perfect blend of practical effects and the atmospheric cinematography, which creates a visually striking film that really just enhances a sense of dread and suspense. And it really does work. I really enjoyed this movie, and that was all due to just the creative direction, the really interesting kills, and everything else that went along with it. However, there's always a however, there are some flaws. Like every great movie, this suffers with some pacing issues. Like, you know, there are absolutely amazing movies which have no pacing issues, such as Oppenheimer, unless you're, like, a Gen Alpha kid who sits on your iPad all day and watches like TikTok. But if you haven't spent the last 15 years of your life watching brain rot, you'll probably be able to just watch this movie all together and not really feel it. But yeah, I kind of felt that it was a bit just too long in some of the parts of the movie. Similar to the first one, there are some scenes that dragged on a little bit, especially nearer the middle of the movie where Tommy's just literally sat in a jail cell. Well, you know, it's kind of funny to watch just his desperation with trying to get out, and then they're just like, no, you're a psychopath, sit down. It's just great. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It's really a standout entry in the franchise. It offers a perfect blend of horror, humour, and action. With its self-aware tone, strong performances, and creative kill, the film revitalizes the series and provides a thrilling experience for both longtime fans and newcomers. For those seeking a horror film that doesn't just take itself really seriously and is just kinda gory at the same time as being stupid, I recommend this movie. It's pretty fun at some points, it's also pretty dumb at other points. It's also kinda long at some points, but what do you expect from a Friday the 13th movie? Friday the 13th, The New Blood. It brings a fresh twist to the iconic series by pitting Jason Voorhees up against a new formidable foe. Carrie! It's set, not really, because, you know, they can't get Carrie because that would be against copyright. So, they create this random telekinetic girl who's basically just Carrie, but a bit less weird and a bit less bullied. That's not a joke either. Like, they literally just create a character who's just Carrie, but isn't. Also, you know, just a shameless little plug here. If you want to go watch my Carrie review, click just up here. And yeah, this movie literally just follows a girl who has to fight Jason and she has telekinetic powers. However, you know, Kane Hodder does play Jason in this one, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a bit interesting to see how this movie is his first time as Jason. Even though he's literally the only guy that returns Jason as an actor. So that's pretty cool, but yeah, let's get into it. So Friday the 13th, The New Blood. No joke, literally opens with Tina killing her dad. But, okay, I know, she sounds like a horrible kid, but he was abusive, so it's good. So yeah, basically, Tina is just wandering around, and then she hears her dad and her mum arguing, then they, like, play a slap sound effect. You know, the fight isn't really done very well. It's not even on screen. And then the most, like, unthreatening looking guy ever comes out and tries to get her to, like, come back because she went out on a kayak onto the lake. And then she's just like, nuh-uh. And then she breaks the dock and he just falls through the dock. It's probably the goofiest thing in this movie, besides the fact that it's literally Jason versus Carrie. And yeah, that's literally the entire opening scene. Jason is just nowhere to be seen in the beginning of this movie. It's not like an opening kill with Jason. It's a girl killing her dad. So that's nice. But yeah, we then cut to, what, like 10 years, I'm gonna say? I can't really remember. But yeah, I must say before I get to that, the opening credits for this movie are painful. It's all the same thing, over and over and over and over and over and just over and over and over. It's just really annoying. And yeah, it then literally just has, well, Tina's come back. And yeah, that looks like how I expect her to look about 10 years later. I don't know what I was going with there. But yeah, so Tina has been brought here by her psychiatrist and her mum because her psychiatrist thinks that her coming back to Crystal Lake will stop her from, like, I don't know, killing people or something. I'm joking. It's just because he thinks that, like, it will awaken something inside her and help her, like, overcome her fears and trauma. Which it doesn't. I mean, it's very obvious from the start of this movie that he's literally just using her because she has super psychic powers. Yeah. It's so painful. And yeah, it then just has Tina go onto the dock, and then she cries about her dad who used to abuse her mum. Bit weird. And yeah, she's then just like, yeah, I wish I never killed you. I want to bring you back. And then Like, she summons something inside of her. The telekinesis is too powerful and it brings Jason back instead. Because apparently her house is where a summer camp used to be. Because I swear in the last movie, it literally ended with Jason going to the lake at the end of a summer camp. Not like at the end of a house. Oh, well, who cares? Continuity in this franchise is basically dead at this point. So yeah, they basically just ignore Tommy Jarvis in this one, which is why I prefer Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow. You really need to go watch those if you haven't seen them. They are definitive Friday the 13th sequels. But yeah, it then just has a bunch of horny teens. You know, we're back to the Friday the 13th formula: horny teens, Jason coming and killing them. Wait, why did I separate those two? Wait, no. Horny teens and Jason coming and killing them. Those two things shouldn't be separated when I said that. But yeah, anyway, Jason then he's back and he looks absolutely awesome. He's like all deformed and disheveled and disgusting, and it's really, really cool. And, you know, this movie definitely distinguishes itself from the predecessors because, you know, telekinetic girl. But anyway, Jason is just cool. There's nothing else to say. Jason's really, really cool in this movie. And he just goes around and he kills a bunch of people. But yeah, we then cut to these horny teens in their little horny teen house. I don't know what to call it. And in the horny teen house, they're apparently planning a birthday party for some guy's cousin who is not here yet. Anyway, we then cut to that guy and his girlfriend on the road, and then Jason finds them and he kills both of them. So yeah, that's a fun birthday present, isn't it? You know, a little death. Bit sad, not gonna lie, but yeah, happy birthday to that guy, I guess. Yeah, it then just has Jason wandering through the woods, and then he finds the horny teen house, and it basically just goes up from there because he kills a bunch of the horny teens, and some of them are actually pretty cool. He shoves like a funnel, I think it was, through a person's eye. He squeezes a person's head down, and yeah, it's just really weird. But yeah, Tina's mum then finds out that the doctor who is supposedly helping Tina is, oh my god, surprise twist of the movie, he's just trying to use her for her powers. Never seen that before. And yeah, it just dumbest twist ever. Like, you can see it instantly from the start that he just is up to no good and he just wants to use her for her powers. But like, no, he's a cool guy, you know? I don't even remember his name. That's how cool he is. But yeah, anyway, they then just sort of like play a little cat and mouse game, Tina and Jason, and then Jason just goes ahead and kills her mum and the doctor, which, you know, the doctor is fair. But her mum was a nice person. Come on, like, there's always occasionally one alright written character in a Friday the 13th movie that I just don't want to die, and then they kill them rather than the stupid horny teens. Come on, guys. But yeah, the movie just gets worse from here. Like, I'm not even joking. A lot of people like the ending of this movie, but I just think it's really stupid. So, Tina and Jason have a little cat and mouse game once again. She then uses her super psychic powers and grabs a branch and just sort of whacks Jason with it, and then she runs away. She then gets back to the horny teen house, and some of the horny teens are still alive, except Jason's here now, and he bursts through the door, hits a person in the head with an axe, and then he's just like, here's Jason. I had to do that, okay? It's necessary. If someone breaks through a door and then has an axe or is using an axe to break through the door, it's necessary to make a Shining reference. It's the law, okay? But yeah, Tina then has this super cool psychic battle with Jason where she does several very weird things. The most notable of which is setting him on fire, but it also does include and is not limited to hanging him, whacking him with a few things, and just doing a bunch of other weird stuff. That's not a joke. She literally hangs him from the ceiling and he still doesn't die because, you know, it's Jason. But yeah, that's pretty much the plot of this movie. So let's talk about some other stuff. The film's practical effects for one, because I want to talk about that. Look at Jason in this movie. That man is awesome. So yeah, the effects and makeup really are standout elements of this movie. It's got great elements just of practical effects and designs, especially Jason, just saying. Jason's design is amazing. I think this is one of my favourite Jason designs. But yeah, also, the introduction of telekinetic powers kind of adds for some more, like, interesting things for the deaths in the movie. I would have preferred her to kill some people. Like, imagine if her and Jason just team up, they just see each other and they're like, hey, you're undead. And then he's just like, telekinetic? We should hang out. But yeah, sadly they don't do that. Maybe a sequel at some point, you know, I'd be up for that. The final showdown, though, as I did say, is one of the, like, funnier and goofier parts of the movie. I know a lot of people really do like it, it's just really not my thing. This movie's really not without its flaws, and a lot of people may find the pacing uneven, which I definitely did. And the build-up to the final fight feels really slow. Like, she's literally just running around for half of it, and then in the actual final fight, it is so goofy that I just can't take it, like, seriously. The only bit which I really do like is Kane Hodder's Jason, because he's just mean. That's what I want from Jason, to be mean. But yeah, ultimately, though, this movie definitely revitalized the franchise for a bit. Then Jason Takes Manhattan ruins it, but you know, I'll get to that in a few days. But I'll try and watch some good stuff first. Jason Takes Manhattan, aka that one Friday the 13th movie where Jason Voorhees goes to New York, except it was actually filmed in the streets of Vancouver because they couldn't afford to go to New York. Yep, that's true, by the way. They could not afford to actually film in New York, so they ended up filming in Canada. Which, you know, is fine, but, like, if you're gonna market the movie as Jason Takes Manhattan, why not just tell the truth and say Jason Takes Vancouver? Maybe that wouldn't make as much money. But yeah, this movie is very weird. For one, it literally just has Jason Voorhees teleporting all over the place. And you can't tell me otherwise because it literally happens in the movie. For another, it is just utter garbage and it makes hardly any sense at some points in the movie. And, yeah, let's get into it. So the film starts with two people randomly having sex on a boat. And he then tells the story of Jason Voorhees. And yeah, that's fun. He then just keeps telling the story of Jason Voorhees while the boat knocks over some electrical wiring under the water. And that somehow brings Jason Voorhees back to life, so he climbs onto the boat and he takes the hockey mask before he kills the guy by stabbing him with a spear gun. Why not just shoot him with the spear gun? I don't know. But yeah, meanwhile, the girl runs for it and hides, but Jason then finds her and he stabs her in the chest. By the way, this is probably the fakest looking chest I've ever seen. Like, the fake nipples on it are horribly done. But yeah, anyway. We then meet our protagonist, Rennie, who is on a graduation cruise with her classmates and her Uncle Charles, who is a teacher. But he doesn't want her going on the trip because she's afraid of water. Why are you going on a boat for your trip if you're afraid of water? I don't know. Quite stupid. Especially since it's literally a boat with a murder on it now. But, you know, who cares? I'm stupid. But yeah, Jason then climbs aboard the boat and he kills someone who was rocking out to a bunch of music. So that would probably be me and I'd be dead in this point in the movie, but that's sad. Anyway, we then see a blonde girl and a brown-haired girl down in the... I can't remember their names, I'm sorry. I was not paying attention at this point. I was already bored out of my mind. But yeah, we then see some girls and they're just under the... like in the bottom of the boat and they're doing some coke. That's fun. Jason then kills a random girl. Anyway, we then see the blonde girl in the movie with the professor. And she is blackmailing him with the tape. We then get a scene where Kid Jason, who is not played by Ari Lehman, by the way, if you want to see my interview with Ari Lehman, click just up here. He breaks through a mirror and a shower. And he then... we get to see regular Jason. And he is just murdering the blonde girl, which, you know, is good. She was very annoying. Jason then goes to the front of the ship and he kills an engineer with a harpoon, before he kills the captain by slitting his throat. One of the guys then finds the bodies and begins freaking out, and he gets them all together, like everyone on the ship, he gets them together. And meanwhile, Jason's strangling one of the girls to death and definitely does not teleport around the room. Meanwhile, some of the guys are looking for Jason and they accidentally shoot a random crew member. So, great job there. Just committed manslaughter, mate. Anyway, Rennie then hallucinates Kid Jason again, and it's just more confusing. This guy then climbs up the mast of the boat, and Jason is suddenly on the top of the mast, and he just pushes him overboard. You know, I don't think he died, though, because he does come back later in the movie, but I just ignore it. I'm just going to say he died, because I don't remember anything in this movie. It's so bad. Rennie then hallucinates Kid Jason again, and for some reason, someone gets an axe through her face after that scene. And now they're in New York for some reason, and the remaining characters get off the ship and begin running for their life, and Jason then begins to follow them, and Rennie gets kidnapped by a bunch of junkies, and Jason then shows up and stabs the junkies with a needle, which, you know, poetic justice or something, I don't know. And Rennie then runs away, and the guy who was earlier thrown off the boat has this awesome fight with Jason, which ends with Jason punching his head once and straight up decapitating him. That was the best part of this movie. That's the bit that I remember the most. But yeah, the remaining protagonists then find a cop and they try to get some help. But Jason then appears and kills the cop, and then the car explodes and they kill all the unnecessary characters off, and they then end up in a sewer. And this is the final bit of the movie, which is the dumbest bit of the movie, where Jason is suddenly just bombarded with a load of toxic waste, like it just comes shooting out of it and just lands on him, which is like, I didn't know that they had toxic waste in the New York sewer system. And he's then reverted back to a kid for some reason, and yeah, that's where the movie ends. Such a fun movie, you know. Look at the excitement on me. But yeah, anyway, Friday the 13th Part 7, or 8, or whatever it is, Jason Takes Manhattan, is a dumb entry in the franchise. It aims to rejuvenate the series with a novel setting of Vancouver. However, despite its promising premise, the film struggles so much to entertain me. The film is mostly set on this boat, which is like, why not just say Jason on a boat rather than Jason Takes Manhattan? It's Jason takes over a boat and then kills all the people in the boat, and it ends in Vancouver with about 3 shots that were filmed in New York. Fun time. Anyway, yeah, this film is just really bad. Like, the alleyways and the docks of the movie are just all filmed in Vancouver. None of it looks like New York. And rather than the heart of New York, like it's said in the title, it's all just like alleyways and streets, which is like, if you're gonna market it as like New York, why not film it in like, you know, Manhattan, which is in the title, you know? Times Square, maybe film some there, you know, they did get one shot there. A singular shot. Anyway, the acting in the movie is alright. The film's highlight is definitely from Rennie's actress. They brings a bit of depth to the character, but besides from that, what can I say? It's a girl who's scared of a boat. She's scared of water. Like, I'm not to dog on anyone who is, because like, I get horrible motion sickness when I'm on a boat, but like, why are you going on a boat if you're scared of water? It's so stupid. Like, you could have literally just escaped this entire situation if you didn't go on the boat. You know? Let your fears control you for this one, love. Don't go on the boat. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the acting, because the kills are the next good thing of the movie. Some of them are pretty cool, you know. One where the guy gets punched in the head, then he gets decapitated. That was cool. But besides from that, as I said, the film suffers from horrific pacing issues. It's really drawn out, especially the bit on the boat that lasts most of the movie. It's over an hour before they even get to New York, and the bit in New York is like 35 minutes long. Ultimately, this is a very mixed bag. It offers a fresh setting, aka streets, and the film's ambition to take Jason out of Crystal Lake and to New York is dumb, because it doesn't work. They're just on a boat. I know that, like, budget issues and all of that would have been the main issue for this, but surely you could have written a movie where he was just in a different town. Maybe just have him be in a town, like, you know, the town near Crystal Lake. Why does it have to be New York, of all places, where you don't even film there, and you get, like, 3 shots in total that was actually filmed there? Most of the film's just on a boat. Today I'm talking about Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday that definitely was not the final Friday, because there's about 3 more after this. And yeah, this movie is very weird. For one, it adds some random family ties which you've never heard of before. It adds a sister, a niece, and a great niece, I guess. And then you've also just added in a bunch of other random stuff. Also, Jason becomes a slug at the end of the movie. No joke. And it also sets up the boundaries and just the, like, stuff to make Freddy vs. Jason. And that's the only good thing that came from this movie, okay? That little cameo from Freddy Krueger's hand is the best part of the movie. The rest is utter garbage. Also, I'm kind of sick today, so if I sound weird in this video, just ignore it. But, yeah, let's get into it. So the movie opens with an attractive woman running around, and she then gets attacked by Jason and runs away into a field of FBI agents who shoot him with a load of different guns, and then they straight up blow him up. That's not even a joke. They have, like, I don't know, like a minefield in the middle of Crystal Lake. They just blow him up. But yeah, we then cut to a coroner's office, and he's doing Jason's autopsy, and then he just starts staring at Jason's still beating heart, and he must be one of those people who's always wondering what it would be like to take a bite out of everything. Except he actually does it, because this man takes a good old little bite out of Jason's heart, and then, I guess, Jason's soul or something, like, possesses him. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, the other coroner then comes into the room, and he kills the assistant coroner, and he then kills 2 random guards who were outside. But they were making fun of Jason, so it's justified. And yeah, we then cut to a news broadcaster who's covering the events and begins to interview Creighton Duke, who's this Jason-obsessed guy. Anyway, it then cuts to a diner where everyone's hating on Jason, and the Duke guy from the news enters. It's the same diner, and he tries to recruit one of the workers named Diana, because she's Jason's half-sister. And he wants to hunt down Jason, even though at this point they don't know, like, that he's properly dead yet. They just think that some random guy's on the loose. But yeah, he's literally the only guy who thinks Jason's alive, by the way. Everyone else just thinks he's dead. Anyway, we then meet Steve, who is Diana's daughter's lover, and also Diana's daughter's baby daddy. And anyway, he is driving to Diana's daughter, named Jessica's house, and he picks up some random hitchhikers on the side of the street. These are a bunch of teens who are on their way to Crystal Lake to have a great time. Since Jason isn't there, now they can have premarital sex and get drunk. So your typical Friday. In the Friday the 13th movie, not your typical Friday. I don't know what you guys do on a Friday. Let me know in the comments below, but yeah. Later in the evening, though, we see the coroner, who is still possessed by Jason's soul, and he stabs someone with a scalpel before he impales a guy through the back, mid-orgasm, and then he basically cuts a person in half, and then he kills a guy off screen. Kind of sad, that last kill after the last two were pretty cool. But yeah, he then makes his way to the diner, and he begins to track down his sister, and he kills this random woman before he kidnaps a cop and he French kisses him. By the way, this is how he transfers his soul to different people. He sticks his tongue down their neck. And, like, I don't know, but it's weird, okay? Anyway, yeah, that's how Jason transfers his soul. The newly possessed Jason policeman then attacks Diana and almost French kisses her, but Steven then appears and tackles him, and Diana dies. Good job, Steven. You saved her, but she died anyway, so what was the point? Anyway, he then goes to the police station looking for Jessica, and she's already there, so he decides just, you know, I'm just going to hand myself in. So they're walking through the police station, and then he sees that Jason suddenly appeared, and he's trying to get to not Diana, Jessica. So, Steven just straight up shoots, he shoots Jason after he jumps over his already handcuffed hands so that his hands are in the front. Then he beats a cop who's walking with him, steals his gun, then he shoots Jason. It's a very weird scene. Yeah, Jason is just also in the police station for some reason. And then after they leave, Jason, he had a little nap. He recuperated himself. He kills 2 random cops. And Jessica and Steven run to the diner. Jason then arrives at the diner, and he bends the guy's wrist open before he throws him in through the door. I don't know how this guy's as strong as Jason. Like, you'd think if he just possesses them, he'd just be, like, inside of them, like his soul. But I didn't think they also got his powers. That's a bit weird. Can Jason possess me, but without the French kissing, please? Then I'd be, like, ultra strong. Anyway. I'm just saying, this is where the movie just gets really, very weird, okay? So, Jessica and Steven then jump over the counter in a slow motion sequence, and they try to find their daughter, but she's not there. She's been taken by Creighton Duke. I knew there was something weird about him when he said something like about a donut and a bit of taffy in the opening scene. I can't remember specifically, but he said something about sticking, like, something through a, like, pink donut. I can't remember what he was saying, though. I was a bit out of it at that point. I was already bored halfway through the opening scene of the movie, so about 5 minutes in I got bored. But, yeah. They then go to the Voorhees house, which is this newly introduced place, which we've never heard of before, but the Voorhees had a house, okay? They just did. You want to know why? Because this random, like, 24-year-old director says so. Anyway, Creighton then gives Jessica a monologue about how only she can kill Jason with this weird dagger thing, which is apparently the only thing that can kill Jason forever, which is pretty dumb in my opinion, but hey, my opinion's irrelevant. Back at the diner, though, Jason possesses another person before 2 cops appear in the Voorhees house. Now, you've got to think about this. One of the cops could not be possessed by Jason, and the other could be. So who's it going to be? Of course, it's the one who's acting normally, and is just not being weird in the slightest, but the one who is acting a bit weird just literally offs himself. I was going to say something else there, but I can't say that on YouTube. He offs himself when he walks straight up to Jessica and he stabs himself on her magic dagger. Anyway, Jason then tries to French kiss the baby. And he passes his soul, but he doesn't. And then Steven just appears out of nowhere and slashes him in the neck with a machete, leaving the body to die. And then Jason comes out in this weird slug form, and he goes down to the cellar to the dead body of Diana, which was down there for some reason. He then kills Creighton Duke, and he is fully realised as Jason Voorhees. And he then gets stabbed by Jessica with a dagger, and all of that was for nothing. And he then gets sucked to hell. And then we get a post-credit sequence which teases Freddy versus Jason, and that is the only good part of this movie, because it teases an alright crossover. I'm just gonna say, it's not as good as everyone says, okay? It's extremely overrated. I do think it's funny, though. So yeah, Jason Goes to Hell. It's a bold and very dumb entry in the franchise. It offers a drastic departure from familiar slasher formulas and does something else. That something else isn't very good, but it's something. The director Adam Marcus definitely infuses the film with a heavy dose of supernatural horror, and he significantly alters the series' traditional narrative structure. He changes it so much that it doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie. It feels like Halloween 6. You know, the one with the cult people where they try to murder a baby and then turn it into the next Michael Myers? Yeah, that one. For some reason, these films love trying to kill babies. I don't know what's wrong with them. These filmmakers must hate them. That's a joke, don't sue me. But yeah, Kane Hodder, though, he delivers another great performance of Jason Voorhees. He definitely brings that anger, which I liked from him in the last one. And, though his screen time in The Hockey Mask is limited, he was able to play another character because he was one of those random dudes who was outside of the coroner's office who died. I'm sure it's fun that the only character where he actually looks like himself in this entire franchise died off screen. That's gonna suck. But yeah, the special effects and makeup in this movie are kind of cool. I did like some of Jason in this movie. Besides the weird demonic slug thing, I think it was alright. And yeah, Jason Goes to Hell, though, it definitely struggles with some pacing issues, and the structure of the plot is all over the place. It goes from here to here to here to here to here to here. I don't know what I was saying, but yeah. It definitely just deviates way too much from a traditional slasher formula and kind of just goes to something else. I mean, some fans of this franchise may just feel kind of alienated in a way, because those who prefer, like, just slash and slash and slash narrative formula of the earlier movies may kind of just be a bit confused as to why this movie has a weird slug monster and probably the most erotic sequence in all of Friday the 13th in this movie. Yeah, I love how, like, the earlier movies were all very horny, but this one has, like, a full-blown sex sequence. It's wild. And yeah, ultimately, though, this movie is a very, very bad entry in the franchise. It's bold. I'll give it that. I won't give it anything else. Today, I'm talking about Jason X, aka the Jason movie where he goes to space. And yeah, that's pretty much this entire movie. There's nothing really special or interesting about it besides the fact that Jason Voorhees goes into space. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, let's get into it. So the film begins in the year 2008 at the Crystal Lake Research Facility. Jason Voorhees, played by Kane Hodder, has been captured and is being held for research purposes for some reason. And so, a scientist at the facility argues for Jason to be cryogenically frozen. I don't know how to say that. Due to seemingly indestructible nature, however, David Cronenberg then appears, and he plans to conduct further studies on Jason to understand his regenerative capabilities. And during a failed containment attempt, Jason breaks free and massacres the facility staff. And then Jason is lured into a cryogenic chamber and he is frozen. But not before someone is stabbed and also frozen in the process. Fast forward to the year 2455. Yeah, I don't think anyone in 2455 is going to remember this film. Earth has become a polluted wasteland and humanity has relocated to Earth 2, which is basically just Earth, but doubled. And a group of students led by a professor are on a archaeological expedition, and they discover the cryogenic chamber containing Jason and the scientists from the beginning of the movie. They transport both back to their spaceship, the Grendel, for examination. This includes students such as Suran, Janisa, and Waylander, and yes, they all have very weird names. Aboard the Grendel, the crew revives Roan using advanced medical technology, and meanwhile, Jason thaws out and resumes his killing spree. He starts with Adrienne, and he shatters it. The crew quickly realizes their danger, and they are in just a load of danger, to be honest. It's ridiculous how dumb they are for literally just taking random people onto their ship when one of them is literally a murderer and the other is currently being stabbed. But yeah. They attempt to contain Jason, though, once again, and their efforts are futile against his supernatural strength, resilience, and overall teleportation powers, apparently, because, yeah, that happens again in this film. It's so stupid when they keep doing it. They say he can't teleport, and then they literally teleport around the place, especially in Jason Takes Manhattan. You can't tell me he doesn't teleport in that one, but yeah. The upgraded Jason, though, called Uber Jason, appears during an encounter with the crew, and Jason is seemingly defeated by the ship's combat android KM-14, which, I'm just saying, one of the weirdest things happens with this. One of the characters is basically in love with it, and yeah. However, Jason's body is later revived by the ship's nanotechnology, transforming him into a more powerful cyborg version known as Uber Jason. With his newfound strength and enhanced abilities, Uber Jason continues the relentless pursuit of the survivors, and the remaining crew, including KM's head and Sergeant Brodsky, attempt to survive and stop Jason. They devise a plan to evacuate the ship and destroy Jason. They then create a virtual reality simulation of Camp Crystal Lake to distract him, where he briefly relives his infamous past and he murders a bunch of virtual campers. However, Jason quickly sees through the ruse and continues his rampage, And then as the Grendel is in critical damage impact, the survivors board a smaller shuttle, whatever the hell it is, to escape, and then Brodsky stays behind to confront Jason. He buys some time for them to flee, but in this really dumb scene, he tackles Jason and they're both propelled straight into space, going straight towards Earth. And they then re-enter the atmosphere and they burn up, appearing to die. And then Jason's mask is just sinking into the bottom of the lake, hinting at his return, which wouldn't happen for about 2 years after this movie when he's fighting Freddy Krueger randomly. And yeah, Jason X, it's unapologetically campy and over the top. It's a really stupid entry in the franchise. It definitely embraces its absurd premise, but the film's decision to transport Jason into space is very bold and it's just kind of dumb. Like, what's next? We had Manhattan, then we had space, then we get remake. What's going to be next? Saturn? But yeah, it definitely provides a unique backdrop for his killing spree. And while the concept may be outlandish, Jason X leans into its sci-fi elements and creates an entertaining and memorable experience at some points in the movie. Other points in the movie are straight garbage, but you know, at least Kane Hodder's here reprising his role as Jason to deliver the same really mean and angry performance as Jason. He infuses the character's signature style with just a load of anger, which I really enjoy. Also, Uber Jason, he's cybernetically enhanced, and it's really weird. It adds a fresh twist to the character, but it's still really bad. The film's special effects and production design are alright though. Like, the VFX are good at some points. Other points are pretty bad, but you know, it's alright considering the limited budget. And the futuristic sets and technological gadgets create an immersive sci-fi atmosphere where it blends seamlessly with the horror elements. The makeup and practical effects, particularly in the gory scenes, are well executed. The bit where they shove a person's head into, oh my god, what's it called? Oh my god, I've lost it. Where they basically shove a person's head into liquid nitrogen, that was it. And they smash it against the table and it breaks everywhere. That's a great kill. And yeah, the cast really make good performances. They do a great job. And while this movie definitely excels in its campy and fun approach, it's not without flaws. The plot can be predictable, and the characters often fall into the stereotypic Friday the 13th roles. Some of them are horny, some of them are stupid, some are downright idiots. The film's humour is slightly entertaining, but sometimes it definitely undermines the tension of the horror. It makes it difficult to take the threat seriously when Jason's literally here looking like a goddamn cyborg, murdering people. But yeah, Jason X, it's a wildly entertaining ride that brings a fresh sci-fi twist to Friday the 13th. It's got a campy tone and inventive kills, and the introduction of Uber Jason makes it a standout entry that offers something different at least. While it may not appeal to purists of the series or those looking for something normal, I'd say, it provides plenty of laughs, thrills, and gore for people willing to embrace its really stupid premise. Today I am talking about Freddy vs. Jason, also known as Freddy vs. Jason Nightmare Edition, and also known as Freddy vs. Jason Friday Edition. Yeah, it's got 3 versions. No, I haven't seen all of them. No, I've only watched one of them. I've only watched the regular one. I can't be bothered to watch the same movie 3 times just for a few different kills and a few extra scenes in there. That's just dumb. I mean, it's also called more money for the studios. That's great, isn't it? So yeah, the movie is very weird. It follows Freddy Krueger trying to bring Jason Voorhees back just so he can kill for him. Because he's scared that everyone's no longer scared of him. And that's pretty much the whole movie. No point in watching the rest of the video. Just click off right now. I'm joking, no. Please stay. But yeah, let's get into it. So the film begins in a dark and gritty boiler room. Fittingly, as Freddy Krueger gets the first kill of the movie. His introduction is brutal as he murders a young girl off screen, and it reminds us of his terrifying legacy. And meanwhile, Freddy recalls how he was killed by a load of other people, granted powers by dream demons, you know, the whole 9 yards. But he's now powerless. Forgotten by the children of Elm Street, to regain his strength, he devised a plan to instill fear and re-brace his amazing power by resurrecting another legendary slasher, Jason Voorhees. From his weird perspective, this film is just very weird. Like, when he brings back Jason Voorhees, it just gets so odd. So, I don't even know where to start. So, Jason is brought back when Freddy pretends to be his mum, and then he pretends to be a bunch of other, like, teenagers and horny people. Jason stabs them, and then it warps into Freddy Krueger. And then the film then takes us to Springwood, where the Elm Street house stands, now inhabited by a group of unsuspecting teens. Laurie, the film's protagonist, is among them. They're trying to ignore her friend's flirtation, and the teens' night of partying is interrupted when Jason appears and murders a few of them. Laurie then hears the name Freddy Krueger mentioned by the police, and as she falls asleep, she enters his nightmarish realm. So Freddy attacks her, but he's still too weak to kill her. So to regain his full strength, Freddy needs Jason to continue killing, thereby instilling more fear and consequently more power for himself. So Jason just keeps killing a bunch of people. He gets a bloody path through the teens of Elm Street, including a gruesome decapitation. And meanwhile, Laurie's ex-girlfriend and his mate Mark both institutionalized escape to try and help Laurie. And as the body count rises, Freddy grows frustrated with Jason's effectiveness, and this frustration peaks when Freddy is posing as Jason's mother, Pamela Voorhees, and constantly orders him to kill the children of Elm Street. And Freddy's manipulation kind of leads too far because Jason just kills way too many people, so he gets all pissed off and then he just starts moaning. So he then gets the upper hand and he messes around with Jason's fear of water. This subplot, however, is literally never heard of again, and it's also really stupid considering how Jason was on a boat for the entirety of Jason Takes Manhattan. He's also been in the water before several times. He's killed a few people in the water before several times. But I guess those didn't happen now. I guess it's just all a dream. It's a nightmare on Elm Street. And yeah, it sucks, to be honest. I hate this film. And yeah, they then get some drugs. Great time. They steal some drugs, which is like a sleep-possessing drug from the real world. The plan is to get Freddy and bring him back to the real world and then have Jason kill him. But Freddy then possesses one of the teens and destroys the drugs and then kills that teen. The final showdown then takes place at Crystal Lake, Jason's home turf. And the teens lure Freddy into the real world, where a brutal and epic battle ensues, and Freddy and Jason tear into each other with relentless ferocity, each utilising their amazing abilities and weapons, and the fight is really cool. It's got like a dark humour and just sheer horror. And in the climax, Freddy and Jason seem evenly matched, but they then go into the water, and then Jason comes up back out of the water onto the dock, which once again is like, how the hell is he scared of water if he's literally walking out of the water right now? And then he's holding Freddy's head, which winks at the camera. Yeah, it's a very dumb ending, I'm not gonna lie. It's so dumb. But yeah, this movie is definitely a high-octane horror film that brings together two of the genre's most iconic figures in a blood-soaked showdown. It's got a mix of brutal kills, dark humour, and a nod to the classic elements of both franchises. It delivers a memorable and thrilling experience for both fans of Nightmare and Friday. And this method is definitely really cool in the movie. The fact that they're able to like switch between both movies at some points, like not movies, but like both like elements of the franchises is what I meant. And it's really cool. I do think that there's a lot of bad parts in the movie. For one, the ending, it's pretty bad, I won't lie. But hey, it's not as bad as the the last one, there's that. It's not as bad as the one before the last one either. But yeah, so Freddy vs. Jason definitely delivers on the promise of the monumental clash between the horror's most infamous villains. It offers a wild ride of thrills, kills, and dark humour. It's directed by Ronnie Yu, and he skillfully navigates both franchises and perfectly mixes them together like a good smoothie. Which, yes, I'm making that reference because I just drank a smoothie before filming this. Robert Englund returns as Freddy, and he does an amazing job once again. And Ken Kersinger takes over for the amazing actor who played him in the last few, but I can't remember the name for him at the moment, but I will probably after I record this. Kane Hodder. There we go. He takes over for Kane Hodder, and he definitely brings the silent slasher to life with a menacing ferocity. And while the plot may veer into the realm of very dumb stuff, the film manages to stay grounded by its ensemble cast of teenage protagonists. And, you know, the main characters are pretty good. I mean, the Nightmare characters are better than the Friday characters, at least. Because the Friday characters are all really dumb, horny, mean teens. Whereas the Nightmare characters are a bit more well-written and a bit more interesting. And yeah, this movie's definitely just pretty meh in some parts. Ultimately, it's a great love letter to both horror fans and fans of this franchise and the other franchise alike. Today I'm talking about Friday the 13th, 2009. Directed by Marcus Nispel, is a reboot of the iconic horror franchise that terrified audiences in 1980. This reimagining aims to bring the relentless killer Jason Voorhees back to his bloody roots, and it really updates the classic slasher formula with modern sensibility. With a mix of nostalgia and a few fresh scares, this film seeks to introduce a new generation of terror to Crystal Lake. So, let's get into this. So the film begins with a flashback to 1980, where Pamela Voorhees is beheaded by a camp counselor in a lakeside camp. In revenge for the supposed drowning of her son, which, of course, is in the original one as well. Unknown to her, Jason witnessed the murder and survived, taking his mother's locket with him. Fast forward to present day, a group of friends, Wade, Richie, Mike, Whitney, and Amanda, venture into the woods near Crystal Lake, searching for a rumoured marijuana field. Yep, they're a bunch of stoners. Wade navigates them through this, and he also tells the story of Jason Voorhees and his mother's murder spree. As night falls, Jason, now a grown, deformed man, begins his killing spree. Wade is killed first while exploring the woods. Amanda is trapped in her sleeping bag and burned alive. Richie gets caught in a bear trap and is brutally murdered while attempting to save Amanda. Meanwhile, Mike and Whitney are at the old Camp Crystal Lake grounds, and they find a locket that suggests Whitney resembles Jason's mother. Jason then attacks Mike and kills him, and he abducts Whitney. That's a whole 30 minutes into the film, by the way. That is the entire opening sequence. It is insane. 6 weeks later, though, Whitney's brother Clay Miller is searching for her. He arrives at Crystal Lake and starts distributing some missing person flyers. At the same time, another group of friends, Trent, his girlfriend Jenna, Chelsea, Bree, Chewie, Lawrence and Nolan, that's so many people, I forgot how many there were, arrive at Trent's family cabin near Crystal Lake for a weekend of fun. Clay enters the group while searching for Whitney, and Jenna decides to help him. While burning on the lake, Nolan and Chelsea fall victim to Jason, though. Nolan is shot with an arrow through the eye, and Chelsea just goes onto the dock, and they show some nudity of her breasts when Jason sticks his machete through the dock and pulls her up. Nice one. Yeah, As night falls, Jason kills Chewie, who has gone to the tool shed, by impaling him with a screwdriver. Lawrence goes to look for Chewie, but is killed with an axe. Meanwhile, Clay and Jenna discover Jason's underground lair and find Whitney chained inside. They try to rescue her, but are pursued by Jason. Bree is killed inside the cabin, impaled in antlers mounted to the wall. Trent tries to flee, but is finally killed off by Jason, who impels him on the tow truck. Yeah. He's just, like, stuck on a tow truck spike. It's great. I hated this character so much. By the way, quick fun fact. Did you know that Trent, he was in Transformers? Yeah. Jason Voorhees and Optimus Prime are in the same universe. Crazy. But yeah, the film ends with Clay and Whitney resting on a dock, throwing Jason's mask into the lake, and suddenly Jason bursts through the dock, grabbing Whitney, leaving their fate ambiguous as the screen cuts to black. Also, the other girl died. Jason killed her, which was a really annoying kill to me because you literally have a character who's been like helping this guy throughout the entire movie, and then what, you just kill her off just to replace her with the sister, who we saw last wanting to get high with a bunch of guys. Great job. Yeah, so Friday the 13th, 2009, it successfully revives the essence of the original series, while infusing it with some modern horror elements. The director, known for his work on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, brings a polished and visceral style to the film. He enhances the terror and brutality that fans expect from the franchise with a lot of modern horror techniques. Derek Mears' portrayal of Jason Voorhees is a standout performance. He brings a menacing physicality and relentless aggression to the character. This version of Jason is faster, smarter, and more brutal than ever. Hell, I'd even say he's the best Jason of the franchise besides Kane Hodder. I mean, it's just a great one. Like, he's better than the one in Jason vs. Freddy, Freddy vs. Jason. He's better than that one. The film's cast also delivers solid performances, with Jared Padalecki and Daniel Panabaker providing some strong leads as Claire and Jenna. The chemistry and determination drives just the narrative like 50 times forward. I don't know what I was saying there. 50%. I know I changed the times halfway through, but yeah. The supporting cast, while fitting into the typical Friday the 13th character stereotype of stoners, horny teens, or I guess horny adults in this one, and just douchebags, bring enough personality and charisma to keep you engaged in the film. I mean, one of the film's strengths lies in its balance of nostalgia and innovation. It pays homage to the original while just adding some nods to the classic elements. And so, well, it keeps Jason's hockey mask and that's really it. But it does definitely introduce some new twists and turns to keep the story fresh. The kills are creative and they're really gruesome. They deliver the gore that fans really want. After, of course, the last few being like dogged on by the MPAA and getting no gore in them. This was really cool. I mean, of course, it's been a few years since the last one by the time that this came out, so of course they'd have more gore and it'd be more allowed, I'd say. Ultimately, though, this movie is a successful reboot that honors the legacy of the original while carving out its own place in the slasher genre. With its intense atmosphere, brutal kills, and a formidable performance by Derek Mears as Jason Voorhees, this film delivers a terrifying and thrilling experience. It may not reinvent the wheel, but I think it's the best Friday the 13th film of them all, besides Jason Lives. So I'd put this maybe second on there. So do all these movies hold up? Bloody hell no. Some of them are really bad. Some of them I want to forget. Some of them I think are pretty solid. Others I think are just kind of boring, but you know, each one of them is solid in their own way. Each one of them is different in their own way. And that's what I do kind of enjoy about them. They're all a bit different. They're all a bit special in their own way. Whether that's a good thing or not. And yeah, let's actually get to ranking these. Because, there's like 13 of them. There's not 13, there's like 11, but still. So, beginning with my least favourite Friday the 13th film, which is Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday. This film is so bad. Jason becomes a slug in the movie. He, like, possesses people's bodies at some point. It's all over the bloody place. I don't like it. And Jason himself is just really unthreatening in this movie. I think it's kind of boring, to be honest. Next up, though, we got Jason the New Blood, or whatever the hell it's called. The New Blood is what I'm going to say. I think it's alright. It's not really the best one out of all of them. It's just Jason versus Carrie, and, you know, as much as I do love the Carrie movies, I think this is pretty subpar. Following that, though, we have Jason Takes Manhattan. This is a terrible movie. I don't know why they, like, made it all around New York, and then it wasn't even filmed in New York, except for, like, 3 shots, and The actual film is just Jason on a boat. They may as well just call it Jason on a boat rather than Jason Takes Manhattan, because he doesn't take Manhattan until the very end of the movie when he dies. Following that, though, we got Freddy vs. Jason. I think this film is a lot of fun, but it's not really a Friday the 13th movie. It's all over the place. It's very goofy. It's got a lot of pacing issues, and it's just kind of iffy. Following that, though, we have Friday the 13th Part 2. This is the introduction of Jason Voorhees, and it's kind of meh, to be honest. I do enjoy a lot of the movie. I think the acting's pretty good and the practical kills are great, but it's just the actual, like, overall design of Jason and the storyline that I felt a bit flat. Following that, though, we have Jason X. This movie is where Jason goes to space, and it is, like the others, it's kind of all over the place. It's sort of a conjumbled mess, but it's kind of fun and goofy at the same time, so I do kind of enjoy it. Next up, we have Friday the 13th Part 3, though, which is where they introduce the mask for Jason Voorhees. This is probably one of my preferred movies in the franchise. I think that it is one of the better ones. It's got the mask, it's got the gore, it's got the sleaziness. It's just a Friday the 13th movie. Following that, though, we have the original Friday the 13th. I think this film is a bit overrated. I do enjoy a lot of it. I think it's a lot of fun at some points, but it is just a kind of boring movie. It's got a lot of pacing issues. The dialogue's a bit bad, and overall, I think the story is very slow. Next up, though, we have the Friday the 13th 2009 reboot. I really love this movie. It's a load of fun. You got Jason doing his bloody best to kill a load of people. He runs. It's awesome. And yeah, it's one of my preferred movies in the franchise. It is a lot of fun, and Jason is a killing machine. But the best movie in the franchise, in my opinion, is the one after the next one, because the next one is Friday the 13th, the final chapter. This is the one that introduces Tommy Jarvis, and it is one of the better ones in the franchise. I just realised I forgot to add in A New Beginning. So, A New Beginning, we'll get to that quickly. A New Beginning goes in just between A New Blood and Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't really like it. Back to where I was, though, we got Friday the 13th, the final chapter. This one's kind of interesting. I do enjoy it a lot. It reintroduces Jason Voorhees just to kill him off in the end. It isn't the final chapter of the movies, but this is where it was going to end, and I think it does kind of end off the original quadrilogy nicely. Finally, though, the best Friday the 13th movie is Part 6, Jason Lives. This movie really is just what Jason is about. He's a zombie, he's a murderer, he's a killing machine. And it has a really good protagonist in Tommy Jarvis, where I think this is probably one of the better performed movies as well. The acting is really well done. And yeah, that's all the Friday the 13th movies ranked and reviewed. What do you guys think of all the Friday the 13th movies? Let me know in the comments below if you have seen them all. If you haven't seen them all, go check them out if you're going to do a marathon like this. It's not really been that fun. A lot of them are really bad, but Jason doesn't really become Jason until, like, the later movies, in my opinion. He's not an icon without those terrible sequels. And that is really what I love about the franchise. It's kind of bad, but it's kind of cool as well. Until next time, though, thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel for more Friday the 13th videos and other horror videos. Until next time, keep it here. Bye-bye.